And when we got back up, we went out onto the balcony and tried to call for help from the fire department. I identified them. I am a former vice mayor of the town, so I identified myself to the policemen to let them know that, come and get me.
Right.
And they said, hold still. They got to set up the fire truck.
Sure. And Barry, did you come down conventionally, or did you go down a fire ladder?
We went into a cherry picker. What I did was I placed a lounge chair flat, and myself, my wife, and 3 other people, I believe it's 3, maybe it might have been 4. Everything's kind of moving quickly, and we jumped up on the lounge and climbed into the cherry picker, and that fire department guy was just so amazingly adept at moving this thing to get it so that we could be able to get into the cherry picker.
And what floor were you on, sir?
3rd floor.
And so there are 4 of you in the cherry picker, and then you start to get lowered down. Is that right?
Well, I think he backed away first and then lowered us down.
Boy. Have you ever been in a situation like a cherry picker coming down? I mean, anything like that you can compare this to in your life? No. Sounds like you're stretching. All right.
Never had that happen.
Barry, might you know somebody who has some difficulty here, who may have lived? This was toward the back, the east back of the building, correct? Know any neighbors or folks who are?
Yeah.
Have you heard from them this morning? Might you know some folks?
Haven't heard from anybody yet. I've heard that my park coach from Flamingo Park when I was a little kid, that Coach Notkin was he had been seen by other people, but I haven't heard.
Is that Jim Notkin? Barry? No, yeah. I think he was my coach too. Barry, I want to thank you for talking to me. I wish you the best of luck.
Let me just ask you the first moments. You were sleeping. Were you sleeping at the time?
Yes.
And tell me just those first moments.
Yeah.
Let me just finish up. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to do now that you can't go back in and all your stuff's there? Where are you going to stay?
Well, I don't know yet. I don't have an answer to that. I've already gotten my paralegal working on getting me a rent-a-car so that I can get around. And I had a full day of my practice that I was going to be in today, and now I guess I've got to cancel a bunch of meetings and things like that. I've got to cancel my golf lesson. I have a son who has a house, but I think we'll find ourselves I think so. I've heard that they're trying to get us accommodations.
What's your theory or suspicion about why this happened?
Well, I have a background from the Planning and Zoning Board in Surfside, and when we moved into this building, into our building, they were starting the work on that very, very large building, and that work went on for many years. And this building, our building, the Champlain South, built in the early 1980s. And when they were doing the construction on the 87 Park here, I was concerned when we moved into the building, and I went to the condo manager and said to him that, what are they doing to make sure that they're protecting our building so that we're not, all the rumbling and all the construction, it was already cracking the pavers on the pool deck. And I said, you guys should do something about that, but I don't know whatever happened from them. And I didn't really think about it because it's this beautiful building here, and, where we live on a gorgeous beach, and, beautiful place. And know the cause of everything, but we're, I'm sure we'll find out.
Now, when was this building built?
It was finished, I think, in like 2020, I think.
You think that had something to do with your building collapsing?
Well, I mean, our building's built in the 80s. This building, to build a building like that, there's no room between the two. So, I'm not a causation expert, but I have been practicing law for almost 40 years. Yeah. And it's kind of like a no-brainer that if you build something that close to this old building and you don't take precautions, and I'm sure they did whatever they could do, but it's going to come out in the science of it, I guess.
Do you think that the roof renovation, the roof work that was happening, had something to do with it as well?
I'm sure that that's part of this perfect storm, because they were doing a new roof. And I think that, all day long, the building was pounding and pounding and pounding. And they've been doing it for over a month, I think. They've been working on the roof. And, it's like...
Sir, I hate to ask you this answer. You just described that moment when you woke up and you heard this. What did it sound like?
At first, it sounded like a crash of lightning, or thunder. But then it just kept on steadily for at least 15 to 30 seconds. It just kept on going and going and going.
What went through your mind at that point?
Well, I thought, I called out to my wife and I said, "What's going on? Do you hear this?" And I had no idea what this loud noise was. And then we went out on the balcony and we saw that there was a police car there. And we said, "What's going on?" He said, "Go back inside. We don't know what's going on." And so we went back inside and we opened the door that would lead to the hallway outside of our door. And we opened the door and it was like a pile of rubble and dust and smoke billowing around. And I couldn't walk out past my doorway, the hallway. So we went gaping hole, rubble, and we went down the stairs to see if we could get out by the pool area. But we got there, and the door wouldn't open. So we went down lower to the basement and found out there that the water was rising up and we didn't want to drown down there, so we went back upstairs, and then the fire department took us off in a cherry picker.
Tell me those moments when you saw the firemen coming.
I was quite I'd say it was pretty frantic. And I was screaming to them, "Get us out of here." And I tried to identify myself to the Surfside police because I was a former vice mayor of Surfside, so they would know me and maybe pay attention. And they just said, "Wait there, wait on the balcony. We've got to set it up." And it took them about 20 minutes to get it all set up, that we were able to then be rescued by one of the fine Metro-Dade Fire Department.
Thank God for them.
Absolutely.
What message do you have to all these rescue crews out there today?
I thank them. They have such a hard job. It's amazing what they do. And the message that I have is that I'm always happy to be alive, but I'm even happier to be alive today.
And you have friends that are missing in this building?
Acquaintances. Fortunately, there are people that I understand are missing, and it's really a tough situation.
And your name, sir?
Barry Cohen.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you. Thank you for. Thank you.
All right, we are going to do a quick recap and show you some of the aerial footage from the scene. You just heard from 63-year-old Barry Cohen. He says he's been living in that building since June 2018. He said he went to sleep around 1:30 in the morning, maybe a bit earlier, but he and his wife woke up to what he described as a crash of lightning, just crashing noises that just didn't stop. He said he and his wife went to their room to see what was going on. They tried to escape from the bottom of the stairwell. They described the scene as dust everywhere, smoke everywhere, water pouring down from pipes which had broken. They also said that the scene was very scary in the sense of water was up to their shins and they were trying to get out before they were worried about drowning in their apartment. They say eventually they were saved by Miami-Dade Fire Rescue and that they could see the outside from the inside. Just how terrifying does that sound? They did mention that they were rescued by a cherry picker, that they lived on the 3rd floor of the building. He did talk about some of the concern with the construction in the area when they first moved in. And of course, he just said he is really grateful to be alive, thanking those first responders for their heroic efforts this morning. So again, you just heard from someone who lived in that building, who was able to get out. There is just so much concern and worry this morning, however, for the people who were not able to make it out. We still don't have an update on that or official confirmation because as you can just see, this damage, as the mayor of Surfside described, this part of the building literally pancaked, and they are still waiting for the situation to be safe enough for those search and rescue crews to really begin their efforts later this morning. Now, we also know that Miami-Dade police will be giving their updates at a press conference coming up in about 30 minutes, so we will take that live as well when we get there. We will bring you also other new information as it develops. Here, this is really important because the big concern from everyone involved and just people watching is how is everybody doing? So there is a family reunification center that is at 9301 Collins Avenue. 305-614-1819 is the phone number to call if you have any questions, any information, if you're trying to find your loved ones. If you have found your loved ones, they also want you to report that so they have a better idea of how many people are still searching. We are going to be on air all morning long and staying on top of this breaking news out of Surfside as we take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Roofing.
Roofingly.
Evans Roofing, Evans Roofing. BrandsMart USA's 4th of July sale is going on now. This Samsung Galaxy 5.3-inch smartphone for only $79.88. Or this Samsung 65-inch 4K Smart TV only $747.99 and get a $75 gift card. Only at BrandsMart USA.
Let us show you why Toyota of Hollywood is the #1 volume Toyota dealer. Buy a new Toyota and we'll double your down payment up to a total of $10,000. We'll make your payments till 2022. We'll pay your gas for 1 full year. Plus, we'll pay you up to $3,000 over book value for your old car, even if you don't buy from us at Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street. Open till midnight.
I was a lineman and I was working in a manhole and I felt my back pop. I didn't realize that at that moment that was the end of my career. I didn't expect all the accusations that I got from workman's comp. How do they know how I feel? I knew I needed the big guns to go up against the big guns. It's been such a relief not to have to worry about anything anymore. Morgan & Morgan changed my life.
Volkswagen Summerfest is back with summer savings on your favorite German-engineered models, like a new Jetta with Apple CarPlay and a turbocharged engine, just $159 a month, or a new 7-passenger Tiguan, a car and driver editor's choice, just $199 a month, or get 0% financing for 60 months. And check out the all-new 2022 Volkswagen Taos SUV. Don't miss Summerfest. Shop VWFlorida.com.
Who is USAA made for? It's made for this guy, a veteran who honorably served. And it's made for her. She's serving now. We made it for all branches and all ranks, whether they served one tour or made a career of it. We also made USAA for military spouses and their kids. USAA is easy to work with and can save you money on auto, home, and renters insurance. Become a member today. Call us for a quote. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for.
BrandsMart USA's 4th of July sale is going on now. Save on this GE stainless steel dishwasher, now $299.88. Or this Sony 85-inch 4K UHD Google Smart TV for $25.98 and get a $250 gift card. Only at BrandsMart USA.
This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
Hey, good morning. It is 8:33, Thursday, June 24th. I'm Frances Wang. Maribel is off. Thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of CBS 4 This Morning. We are following breaking news, a partial building collapse in Surfside. If you're looking for CBS This Morning, you can find that on our sister station on MyTV 33. We'll also get to your traffic and weather in a moment. We begin now, though, with that breaking news out of Surfside. That's where firefighters and first responders are on the scene following a building collapse. We have CBS 4 News team coverage, beginning with Brooke Schaefer. Brooke, we heard from the mayor of Surfside. We heard from someone who lived in that building. What can you tell us, and what else is going on from your vantage point?
Well, really, everybody just calling this a horrific catastrophe. Nobody can really understand how something like this would happen. And Francis, I do want to mention around 9 or 9:15, weather permitting, we are hoping to have a press conference with police and get a more official update. But again, we have been standing about a block and a half away from the building all morning long. You can see there are still several rescue crews here. We are still being held back by some police tape. We did have some video as well from earlier this morning of one of the rescues. We saw several people being rescued from this building. Some dramatic video, though, this morning of a young boy being saved. And if you look at that video, something to really sink in here among the rubble is mattresses, bed frames, carpets, household items, because that is really the nightmare part of this whole scenario. The fact that people were not only home, but asleep. It all happened in the middle of the night. And Francis, we did hear from the mayor of Surfside just moments ago, giving us a bit of a grim outlook on what he thinks is left here at this scene.
Right now, we have dogs out in the middle of the night looking for survivors in the rubble. But it was just so dangerous and so dark that they made one pass and they did not get any hits. I know that they were coming back at daylight, so I know they're out there right now looking. The problem is the building has literally pancaked. It has gone down, and I mean there's just feet in between stories where there were 10 feet. That is heartbreaking because it doesn't mean to me that we're going to be as successful as we would want to be to find people alive.
So again, Francis, we are obviously on the side of the building that is still intact. It's the other side of the building that the mayor described as pancaked, in his words. And at this point, we don't know how many people were inside this building when the partial collapse happened. But Francis, pretty frightening to say the least. The mayor said he believes the building was definitely full. He fears that there are several units with people still unaccounted for. At this point, we know one person has died, at least 9 people taken to the hospital. Again, we are hoping for a more official update from police and from firefighters in just about an hour or so. Francis?
And Brooke, I know we are also waiting for the clear and the go-ahead for those search and rescue teams to really begin those efforts, because it is a dangerous situation. We saw a lot of that falling debris from other vantage points with Austin and Ted. But from where you are, what's kind of happening right now as we're all just kind of waiting? It seems like that's what most people are doing, right? Waiting as people are trying to be reunited and waiting to go in and hopefully rescue.
Yeah, definitely a lot of waiting here this morning, Francis. I'll tell you where we are again. Like I said, we're about a block and a half away from the building itself. We are set up right here with all of the news crews from across South Florida. All of the national networks are here as well. And we are waiting, like I mentioned, we have a podium set up. We're waiting to hopefully hear from officials within the next hour or so. And like you said, too, we just heard from a man who was inside the building. He lives here. He and his wife. He said that, they woke up in the middle of the night to, this loud sound. He didn't really know what was going on. He said he opened his door and there was just rubble everywhere. They weren't able to get out themselves. They had to wait, and they were one of the people we saw being rescued from their balcony by firefighters. So, I think the good way to describe it right now is a lot of waiting, unfortunately waiting to hear those numbers and see just how many people might have been in this building at the time of the collapse.
And as we are encountering more people who lived in the building who were able to get out, we're of course hearing some of those harrowing details, those eyewitness accounts, terrifying encounters like you just mentioned from Barry Cohen there, who was behind you. How did he just happen to stumble upon, the press conference setup, or was he asked to speak, or are we expected to hear from more people, more victims this morning from that presser behind you?
We're hoping so, Francis. Right now, though, we are sort of blocked off. You have to imagine, too, this is just such a crazy scene here with so many first responders, but also the safety aspect of it as well. Police are keeping us pretty far away from the scene. So Barry, like you mentioned, we heard from him because he happened to walk past us, and, we started asking him, do you know anybody? Do you live there? And that's how we were able to speak with him. So really, we're kind of standing here waiting for the information to come this way, because unfortunately right now we can't really get any closer to the scene than where we are standing.
Brooke, thank you very much. Please keep us posted from where you are, and we'll check in with you later this morning. Our team coverage now moves to CBS 4's Austin Carter. He is also live on the scene with a different view of what happened. He was also at Jackson Memorial Hospital earlier. Austin, what's going on where you're at? This is where we can really get a clearer picture of the damage done as the mayor of Surfside mentioned, literally pancaked that part of the building.
And Francis, you know what, let's just get straight to it here as we are on the ocean side of that high rise here. You can just see all of that debris there. I described it earlier, what looks like a bomb went off there. And my photographer and I, we've been kind of looking through some of the wreckage and damage that lingers here. And it really gives you chills just how frightening this is. If you were to think if you were inside this high rise, maybe even asleep, when all of a sudden that building came crumbling down. What we can see is a lot of those air conditioning units and fans there just hanging literally by a thread off the side of this building. And as the wind has been starting to, kind of pick up the breeze from the ocean here, those fans have been rotating. Another eerie sight, if you take a look at possibly the top floor there, what looks like a child's bunk bed there, you can see it looks like it's just inches away from falling off the edge there of where this building started to collapse. Also, one more thing, take a look up on the roof there. You can see there's a door there, possibly what would be access to one of the upper levels or just right above the highest floor there. If you were to open that door, literally there is nothing until the ground there. You can just see where that building essentially disconnected from the rest of it there, where it really split apart there. So just a lot of damage here. And we can still hear what sounds like those sirens. We've been seeing what kind of looks like fire alarms, those flashing lights going off inside of the building. But again, just a really eerie sight. You're seeing it for yourself here. Now, we understand that fire rescue crews really had their hands full trying to rescue people as quickly as they could, especially when we have a situation like this. It's not really sure could more fall. We have been seeing little pieces of debris falling, from the empty areas here. So again, this building probably definitely not structurally sound given this partial building collapse. But even now, this is a very scary and risky situation, especially for those fire crews who may be having to continue to rescue people. We know earlier this morning they had their ladder trucks out using to rescue people. We saw footage there of that young boy miraculously being pulled from the wreckage. And we know firefighters have been going floor to floor evacuating this building, even the portions there obviously that are still standing. So literally you look at one side of the building here, no damage at all, business as usual. You look right over there, feet away, and it is just a complete mess there. Again, you're taking a look here, just all of that debris here left from that partial building collapse earlier this morning. Francis, you mentioned earlier about us being at Jackson Memorial Hospital. We were there watching some of those ambulances rolling in through the morning hours, possibly transporting anyone who is injured from all of this. But we know at least 9 people were taken not only to Jackson Memorial Hospital, but also taken to Aventura Hospital. We also know, our sources confirming, at least 1 person has died as a result of this partial building collapse. We're not sure if they were pronounced dead here on the scene or if they were taken to a hospital. I'm also working to get an update for you guys on the conditions of those 9 people taken to area hospitals. So again, a lot of things happening out here, a very fluid situation even now here, hours after this collapse. If firefighters are still trying to rescue anyone who still may be trapped. Again, a lot of debris out here. We're going to continue staying on the scene, try to gather some more information as well. Once we get anything new, we'll be sure to bring that to you. Francis, back to you.
And Austin, from where you are, you can really see just the extent of the damage. And as you mentioned, just the crazy juxtaposition of that partially intact part of the building and then the part that, as the mayor of Surfside described, literally pancaked. I don't know if you heard earlier as well, someone who lived in that building said it was just terrifying seeing the outside from the inside. So I just want to thank you for, being there and showing us, because it really paints a clearer picture of just how scary the situation was for people just waking up. It seems like we're just kind of waiting at this point. Brooke also said that was kind of the feel where she was at. Is that kind of what's going on where you're at too? Because we see a lot of people standing by you, but it seems to be mostly other media members and maybe just onlookers who are just waking